Hey guys, this is JP's LEGO Reviews. Today, I want to talk about what's happening to LEGO's retirement schedule. Now, the retirement schedule of LEGO has changed over the last 2 to 3 years, and I simply want to answer the question to why this is occurring. So, let's break it down. Now, the four kind of main things I'm going to go through in this video are how the retirement schedule used to be, why is the retirement schedule changing, how is the schedule changing, and then how does that affect LEGO customers right now. So let's just break it down to their individual four components. Now, with small LEGO sets, or mainstream LEGO sets as they used to be called, they usually had a shelf life of roughly 1 to 2 years. So with this Jedi Interceptor, for example, now this set, let's say if it was released in 2016, this thing may have lasted till the end of 2016 or to the end of 2017. But if it was released in the beginning of 2016, it would basically have maybe a 2-year shelf life at the most, maybe 2.5 years. But smaller LEGO sets never used to have a larger shelf life on average than 2.5 years, because LEGO would then take the products out of production and they'd put another set on production so that, they don't keep making thousands of sets every year. And with UCS sets or direct-to-consumer sets for just exclusive large LEGO sets, they on average lasted for about 2 to 3 years. Now, if a set came out in the same year of 2016, the smallest amount of time you would expect the set to be on shelves for would be from 2016 to 2018, from the beginning of 2016 to the beginning of 2018. But let's say if it happened to be it just happens to last in the 3-year end, the set could release in 2016, but it will retire at the end of 2018. And this really was how it used to be. It didn't really get much simpler than this. And the distinction was not with the size of the set, but rather who the collector was. But also size did have an effect on it, simply because LEGO back then didn't really make too many exclusive sets that are smaller in size, unlike today. But how is the retirement schedule changing? Well, it always starts with exceptions, like this Death Star here. Now, the Death Star came out in 2008, but it lasted for roughly 7.5 years. It retired in the middle to end of 2015. Now, what's so interesting about this set is it lasted pretty much for a decade. Like in 2014, I saw it on my local store shelves, even though it's a really old looking set, and I realized that it's an old looking set compared to what the rest of the products that they had were. And I then realized that, okay, maybe some LEGO sets happen to stay there longer than others, and clearly this is the case. Now, there's a pretty obvious reason why this thing stayed on shelves for as long as it did. It was a very popular LEGO set. It was so popular that LEGO actually really decided to remake it a year later in 2016, and it retired in around 2020. So you could say this set almost, maybe in some level, had a 11-year shelf life, simply because they then re-released the Death Star in 2016, and it was basically the same set except it was a tiny bit updated. But it retired in 2020. I could see them making another Death Star, but I don't think it'll be for a little while now, simply because they have already had a Death Star on shelves for so long. But it always starts with exceptions. But it then becomes normal. With the Millennium Falcon small set here, for example, the shelf life on it so far is about 3 years. It'll probably retire this year, but even if it does, that's still a big achievement, because the average shelf life for a small set or a mainstream set like this was 1 to 2 years back in the day. And LEGO are now prolonging the life cycle of these larger LEGO sets. I think there are two reasons for this. One is supply chain issues, and I'll get to that a bit later. But also the second issue is, well, they can keep it on for longer because people always want sets like Millennium Falcons or X-Wings, so instead of remaking one, say, every 4 years, or really frequently, just keep the one that has been made for a longer period of time, then retire it maybe 4 to 5 years later, and then re-release it in another, say, few years' time, just so that the set that's been made, it doesn't retire so early because people really want to get their hands on a Millennium Falcon or an X-Wing, and that's something that'll always be the case with these standard Star Wars sets. And the other sort of thing that's happening is with UCS sets too having a shelf life of longer than 3 years. The UCS Millennium Falcon, without much signs of retiring, has already been out for 5 years. Now, this has been an extremely popular UCS set, but it still shows that the life cycle of UCS sets and just direct-to-consumer sets is growing, because Assembly Square has also been around for a while. I think the Bugatti Chiron is retiring in 2022. That thing was out more than what most people expected it to be out for, and this set is included as well. 5 years, and if a set remains popular, LEGO now more than ever will feel more justified just to keep it on shelves for longer, simply because people want to get their hands on sets like this. But why is it changing? Well, here we have a supply on the right and demand on the left kind of chart, with the prices increasing as demand increases, and then the price lowers as the demand of the product lowers. And I reckon we're roughly where the green dot is. The demand for LEGO has increased more than the supply, that's for sure. And because of this, LEGO do feel justified with increasing their prices. This actually happened in August of 2022 with a bunch of sets from all themes that have already existed being increased in price, probably due to this phenomenon, but also for a bunch of other reasons as well. I'll link up the video up top if you want to see that. Now, what's just important to know about LEGO's retirement schedule for this video is that supply of LEGO sets are pretty low. Like, all the new sets everyone wants to get is out of stock, and it's pretty hard to find, especially UCS or direct-to-consumer sets at LEGO stores or even in retailers. And because of the price increases, and also because they're relatively expensive, LEGO have more of a reason just to keep them for longer, because more people want to buy them. And also, supply chain issues have pushed things back a year because of what happened in 2020. But how does that affect the LEGO customer right now? Well, a few months ago, these two sets came out. The T-Rex Breakout and the Back to the Future Time Machine, right? Now, these sets on average should probably last to 2 to 3 years. But if they remain popular, which is what's happened with the Time Machine for now, but also, let's say for T-Rex Breakout also still happens to be as popular, what will happen is, due to the popularity of these sets and also due to just all the other supply chain issues, LEGO could increase their life maybe to 4 years, possibly 5, depends on how successful these products are. And with the Bugatti Chiron, now I believe this set has only just recently retired as of the timing of this video coming out, but even with this set, I think it retired either in June 2022 or it's going to retire in December 2022. Either way, it's a set that's been around for a lot longer than what most people expected it to be out for. But I do have a closing point. With these 3 sets, and with LEGO now returning back to their supply norms, as 2022 has probably been the year for most companies and most sorts of industries just to roll back towards what looks like at least a normal sort of production season, maybe the Lego availability will go back down to their normal 1 to 2 years, or for larger sets or direct-to-consumer sets 2 to 3 years. But they may also keep this as a more permanent fixture of Lego's lineup, simply because they do know that Lego sets are always going to be popular no matter what. And that's it. Let me know what your thoughts are down below if you have any thoughts on this video, and also let me know also what Lego sets do you want to last as long as possible. I hope you all have a great day and keep building.